नहीं, मेरा आज का कंटेंट खत्म नहीं हो पाएगा ना। फेडरल स्ट्रक्चर हम आज खत्म करना चाह रहे थे, वो थोड़ा सा बच जाएगा। चलो, okay, so welcome back. I hope welcome back. I hope now audio and video everything is all right. Just confirm through your comments. Only after your confirmation I will move ahead. I would request my tech team to please show my comments. Yeah, please zoom it. Okay, thank you Yogesh for the confirmation. My sincere apologies for the technical difficulties that we faced. So I welcome you again to this ninth lecture of our N100 series. We are covering complete polity from the mains perspective. That is, we go through the how, what, why, and so what of all the themes that we are going to select. We have already covered various themes, and now we are in the third lecture of our federal structure related themes. In today's class, I am going to cover the issue of asymmetric federalism, the issues that is there between the Lieutenant Governor and state of Delhi, or the government of Delhi, the issues of cooperative, competitive, and combative federalism. Then we are going to cover the changes which have been recently made in the All India Services Rules, and there are issues with the functioning of governor also. All these things I am going to cover in today's lecture. And so let's start today's lecture with the first thing, that is asymmetric federalism. And as we have already seen, uh, Indian Indian federalism is not a symmetric one. Symmetric federalism means where all the states or all the different constituents, they are on par with each other. For example, let's take the example of USA. In USA, all the states are equal with respect with each other. In India's case, that's not the scenario. There are various ways in which you can say that Indian federalism is not a symmetric federalism. For example, earlier there was Article 370 which gave a special status to Jammu and Kashmir. Okay, now this article is no more relevant. Then there was this Article 371 series of articles for which through which certain special provisions have been made with respect to states like Nagaland, Assam, and Maharashtra, and various other states also. Okay. Then we have sixth schedule, which creates autonomous regions. These autonomous regions have their autonomous councils, so they are in effect a kind of government only. They have their own council, they have the executive power, legislative power, as well as judicial power. We shall study this sixth schedule as well in the topic of local self-government, where we shall study local self-government along with the PRIs and urban local bodies. We shall also cover the sixth schedule. Then we have union territories apart from the states. These are the, and among union territories also there are three UTs which have legislative assembly, and there are other UTs which does not have legislative assembly. Apart from that, we also see asymmetry in representation in Rajya Sabha, representation in upper house. In USA, all the states send 2 members to their senate, whereas in case of India, their states are represented in proportion to their population. The states share in Rajya Sabha, which is the upper house, which is the federal house, which is representing the states. The states does not have the equal representation. So through these mechanisms, we say that India does not have a symmetric federalism, rather there is a asymmetric federalism. All the states are not equal with respect to each other. Okay, these are the examples through which you can prove this point that the states are not equal with each other. Now, one of the issue, like the issue of Article 370, is no more relevant as such. These are Article 371. We do not expect many questions to be asked, but the issue which is there in the news, on which a question is always in the making, and the question have also been asked in the past, is the tussle between the Lieutenant Governor of Delhi and the government of Delhi. Okay, so Delhi has a peculiar situation. It is a union territory, but it also has its elected government. It has its legislative assembly, and there is a elected government in that legislative assembly. Okay, and as you must have seen in the news that they are at war with each other for various reasons. Recently, like there is a controversy with respect to the house allocation as well. Like the chief minister has been removed from her house, and like she has not been allotted the bungalow that she was desiring, and there are always some amount of tussle, but we as a student of polity will focus on constitutional aspect, not the political aspect. So what is the constitutional position in Delhi? First is that through 69th constitutional amendment. Now these are the terms that you must remember. The number is also easy. 69th Constitutional Amendment 1991, through which Article 239 AA was introduced, and through this the Delhi was given an elected government. Okay, like Article 239 says that the president will administer through an administrator. So Article 239 was in general for the uh, union territories, and 239 AA is specifically for the state of Delhi, or rather UT of Delhi. Okay, then the provisions it makes that council of ministers shall be appointed by president. Now this is another factual information that you must remember. Like in the states, the council of ministers are appointed by governor, whereas in case of Delhi, it is appointed by president. Although in visuals you must have seen that the oath is administered by lieutenant governor only. It is not the president who administers the oath, but they are appointed by president. Now it also mentioned that there are three items, item number 1, 2 and 18 in the state list. Like normally on a state list, it is the state legislature which have the jurisdiction, but this uh, 239 AA article says that on three items which relates to land, public order and police, these are the three items on which the state or like Delhi legislature will not have the power to legislate. Apart from them, the rest of the items are with the Delhi legislature. Okay, and then it says that lieutenant governor to act on ad and advice of council of ministers. These are the provisions which are there. There is also an NCT Act of Delhi which gives detailed provision regarding how the governance of Delhi will be taken off. Okay, now this Article 239 AA4, it also mentions that in case, like it says that lieutenant governor, there shall be a council of minister to aid and advise the lieutenant governor, but it does not mention the provision which we have in case of president, that in case there is a difference of opinion, or like the president shall act according to such advice, although he can return it for reconsideration once. The provision that we have with respect to president, the same provision is not there with respect to Delhi government or lieutenant governor. This says that in case of difference of opinion, lieutenant governor can seek opinion of president. So in case there is a difference of opinion between the council of minister headed by chief minister and the lieutenant governor, then the matter would be referred to the president. This is the provision which is there. Then obviously this is the bone of contention. Like normally in the democracy we expect that there is an elected government, so the whatever be the advice of elected government, the appointed person would abide by the advice. Our wisdom is that in a parliamentary form of government, the head of the state is just a nominal head. So is the governor, so is the president, so should be the lieutenant governor. He is not even the complete governor, he is just a lieutenant governor. So he should not be having more power than governor. They should be acting as per the aid and advice of the council of minister headed by chief minister. But that was not happening because of the obvious reason, because of the political compulsions. There were things which were which the one political party was trying to do, which was definitely not in sync with the agenda of other political party. So this gave rise to a lot of tussle, or this tussle that we are referring, the at the core of this tussle is this provision in Article 239 AA4. Then obviously Lieutenant Governor was using his discretion, etc. So the matter went to the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court said in 2018 that Delhi is not a full-fledged state and Lieutenant Governor is not a full-fledged governor. Okay, so he will not have an independent decision-making authority. Supreme Court clearly said that you are Lieutenant Governor, you are not even a full governor. So you cannot run the Delhi state, or rather National Capital Territory of Delhi. Delhi is not a state either. Okay. So it is the elected government in a democracy which have to govern. It is not the Lieutenant Governor which has to govern. Okay. Or here the Supreme Court interpreted that any matter under Article 239 AA4, okay, does not amount to every matter. So here the wording is that in case there is a difference of opinion on any matter, okay, so Supreme Court said does not amount to every matter. It's not that on every matter the LG has to give it concurrence and LG will have the final word. It is the elected government which will have the final word. This is what Supreme Court said. And Supreme Court but also said that on substantial policy matter or on the rationally sound ground, the Lieutenant Governor concurrence is required. So on day-to-day issues, the day-to-day administration, it is the government, elected government which will do the governance, but on substantial policy matters, both elected government and the Lieutenant Governor has to be on sync. Now see, apart from this, the Supreme Court also clarified that there is no need for concurrence on every matter, and the not to obstruct the state government administration. The LG should not obstruct the state government administration. Okay, and it also clarified that the executive power is coterminous with legislative power. It means that on whatever matter the legislature of Delhi has got the power to legislate, the elected government of Delhi have got the power to take executive action. Suppose, let's take an example, health. So if the legislature of Delhi has got the power to legislate on health, so executive power of the Delhi government also extend to the matter of health. It's logical. And this is how the governance has been happening in our country. Okay. It was very well sound judgment, and judgment was in the spirit of parliamentary form of democracy. In the parliamentary form of democracy, it is expected that the elected government will govern, not an appointed lieutenant governor. I mean, what's the purpose of having a government conducting an election? Because that government is accountable to the people. It is not the lieutenant governor who will have to go to the people after 5 years. It is not the. It is the elected government who has to be accountable, answerable. So obviously, it should get the opportunity to govern. But the judgment says that on substantial policy matters, the concurrence of Lieutenant Governor is necessary. Now, what is substantial is a matter of debate. For example, like the Delhi government can say that, see, if we are increasing the subsidy from rupees 10 to 12, as such there is no substantial matter because subsidy was being given earlier also. we are just increasing it from 10% to 20% or say 50%, whatever be it is. Whereas the lieutenant governor can say that it is a substantial matter, it is going to burden the exchequer, or subsidies are going to make the citizens irresponsible. There is national calamity that can come because of the over expenditure. So a lot many such argument can be given where one party will say that it's a substantial policy matters, whereas other party can say that it's not a substantial policy matter. Okay, and the dispute continued. The central government decided to settle the dispute in favor of lieutenant governor. Okay. Central government brought the Government of National Capital Territory of Delhi GNCT Act. This is the act through which the Delhi government is governed. It brought an amendment in 2021 whereby it clarified that the government of Delhi would mean lieutenant governor. This is very important line. You must keep it in mind. And see, there has been two amendments which are in the news. I will also teach the another amendment which has come in 2023. I am currently teaching you the amendment which came in 2021, whereby the parliament, this was the act passed by parliament. So parliament mentioned in this act that government of Delhi would mean lieutenant governor. So no dispute wherever it is said that the government of Delhi can take an action in any act, etc. It would mean that LG has to take action. It implied, okay, that LG's concurrence is must on all decisions. All decisions means all executive decision. So now effectively it is the LG which will govern. So it's like a viceroy kind of system. The viceroy will have the final say. I mean, this is the system that we had in the pre-independent India. There was the elected government, election used to be conducted, but then viceroy has the final say. He has got the veto power, and he used to govern as per his wishes. The elected government used to go to the election, it has the responsibility, but it did not have the final say. So the similar kind of system is being proposed. I'm not being critical, but definitely it is not democratic. I'm not saying that I favor a particular political party, because see, in this debate there are two political parties which are involved. But purely from a polity student perspective or the political science perspective, we can see that this is not a system which is in tune with the democratic principles. If we have an elected government, that government should have the final say. Okay. Now, it also what it did, that it deprived the rule making power of legislative assembly. See what it can happen, because legislative assembly has, as per the constitution article 239 AA, legislative assembly has its jurisdiction on all the matters except those three matters in the state list. So it could have made rules. So it was, I mean, so the Delhi government does not make such rules whereby it deprives the power of the LG. What it also did is it deprived the legislative assembly of the power of making rules, and it also prevents it setting up committee to inquire into administrative decision. So effectively, the executive, like in parliament chapter we study that parliament or legislature's important function is to keep executive accountable. That power has been taken away. It has prevented it from setting up a committee to inquire into administrative decisions. So first, executive has been taken away the power, and the second, even legislature have been taken away from the power. Judiciary is anyway out of the control of the Delhi government. Okay. And then it clearly said in explicit term that LG has got discretionary power. Wherever he would like to act in his discretion, he can act in his discretion. So what, like Supreme Court has said that only on the substantial policy matter concurrence is required, that has been done away with. What the Supreme Court has said that as per the act and advice of the Council of Ministers, that has been done, that sum has been done away with, and it has been made explicit that LG has got discretionary power. Obviously, it negated the Supreme Court judgment. The Supreme Court judgment, which was delivered in 2018, was negated through this amendment. This was definitely problematic, and the tussle has to continue. The another tussle which came was related to, against Article 229, Supreme Court verdict against the spirit of federalism. These are the problems I have just told you. You may take a note of it. Then the next tussle that came between the Delhi government and the LG was regarding authority over services. Services means like the officers. So who has the control over the officers, like the transfer, posting, appraisal of the officers? Obviously, disciplinary action of the All India Services officers are anyway taken by the central government, but the transfer, posting, appraisal, these are the things which are done by the state government. So who has control? It was mainly regarding the transfer and posting only, that who will decide who will become the chief secretary or additional secretary or principal secretary, who will be posted, who will be transferred out, who will go on deputation, who will not go on deputation. All these things, who will decide, whether it is the Delhi government or the LG? Again, the LG claimed that it is the lieutenant governor which will decide, whereas like the elected government was saying that whether, I mean, see, imagine a situation that a minister or the chief minister is not able to decide who is going to be his principal secretary or personal secretary or chief secretary. I mean, that is definitely not a good situation. Ideally, a who is going to be my advisor, I should have trust. The very function is that the chief minister should have trust in his advisors. These secretary are effectively advisor to the ministers. So if chief minister does not have trust on its advisors, how is it going to govern effectively? Okay, so for that matter, like in all the states, it is the chief minister who picks up the secretaries of each choice. Okay, now again the matter went to the Supreme Court. Again, the Supreme Court gave the judgment in 2023 that National Capital Territory Government (NCT) to have legislative and executive powers over services. See, it was very simple. The judgment in 2018 had already said that the legislative power and executive power goes hand in hand. They are coterminous. So naturally, if legislature has the power over services, like all the matter in the state list except these three matter, so executive will also have power over the services. So Supreme Court had to rule in favor of National Capital Territory government. Okay. Again, the parliament reacted, or when I say parliament, it is the central government which acted. It passed another amendment to the GNCT of Delhi Act 2023, and which specifically said the LG will have control over services. And but obviously LG, you do not expect LG to be governing, sitting in the office every day and taking all the action. So what it said is that there shall be a National Capital Civil Services Authority, NCCSA, National Capital Civil Services Authority. In this authority, who will be the member? So there would be Chief Minister, who would act as the chairman. There would be Chief Secretary. Okay, and there would be Principal Home Secretary. So these three people would be there in this body, National Capital Civil Services Authority, and this authority will recommend to the LG who to be, I mean, all the transfer and posting of officers in Delhi government. Okay. It also said that LG has a discretionary power in administrative decisions and summoning or dissolving the legislature. So first, let's look at the first part. Let's see, suppose this authority has recommended a particular name. It says that LG has a discretionary power to overrule the recommendations of these authority. And in fact, not only on the in the case of services, in all the administrative decision, LG has got the discretionary power. So LG can take a decision even without the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers. So this is something which was there in the earlier act also. It has been made more specific with respect to administrative decisions, and in fact, it has also given the power of summoning or dissolving the legislative assembly as a discretionary power to Lieutenant Governor. So suppose when a session of the legislative assembly is to be called in Delhi, it is to be the discretionary power of LG. Normally, it is the chief minister on whose advice LG or governor summons the sessions or prorogue the session or dissolves the assembly. But this is the something which have been called as discretionary power. Obviously, people are or the critics are saying that this is something which is unconstitutional. The criticism will still remain the same. It is against Article 239A. It is unconstitutional. It is against the parliamentary democracy that we are practicing. It is against the spirit of federalism. Why we are writing the word a spirit of federalism, not directly federalism? Because as such, Delhi is an union territory. But we are the kind of arrangement we have, since we have given a legislative assembly to Delhi, we are kind of having a federal arrangement with Delhi. So that's why we are saying that it is against the spirit of federalism. However, if you have to write the arguments in favor, this is like simplifying the way, I mean, this is like settling the tussle between the elected government of Delhi and Lieutenant Governor. Like saying that, see, elected government will not have the power. Ultimately, if there is a dispute, the Lieutenant Governors, whatever be the voice of Lieutenant Governor, that has to be abided. So the only benefit is that this law will is not giving any scope of dispute. This is clarifying the matter. However, the way the matter is being clarified is not fair or is not in the spirit of democracy. Is it clear? If you have any doubt, like if you have to take the stand, your stand should be in the spirit of Supreme Court judgment. That 2 times the Supreme Court has given judgment that the elected government has to be given supremacy. So that's why we will always take the stand in favor of elected government being given supremacy. Okay, we are in a democracy. Democracy is part of basic structure of our constitution, and parliamentary form of government is also part of basic structure. So our stand should be simple, except those 3 matters. For the rest of the matters, the Delhi government should be given autonomy. Let the Delhi government run. And then you should have those cherry picking few points, like they should work in the spirit of cooperative federalism. Both the elected government at the center and elected government at the state should try to settle their disputes in an amicable manner. Okay, these golden lines you can write. Yes, obviously, I mean, it is a set precedent that any law whichever has been enacted, that law is implemented until unless it is struck down by the Supreme Court. So when a law which has nullified or which has effectively nullified, I mean, the law does not say that the judgment of the Supreme Court will be nullified, but when a new law comes which have a provision which is effectively different from the judgment of the Supreme Court, the new law shall be implemented till the time it is declared invalid in a court of law. Okay, so until unless this law is challenged in the Supreme Court and the Supreme Court gives its verdict, the law would be implemented. Okay, so effectively, yes, you are right. Effectively, the judgment of Supreme Court has been nullified. Okay. Now we shall move to the next topic, and we shall start the topic of cooperative federalism. So you must have understood, this is obvious by the name itself. What is cooperative federalism? If you could give me the answer, those of you who are online, what is cooperative federalism? So as the name suggests, cooperative federalism is cooperation. So in federalism, there are like two different units. One is this federal government, which is central government. Another is the different constituent states. So if there is a cooperation between these two level of government, we would say it is an example of cooperative federalism. If they are working together, if they are working harmoniously, if one is helping the another, or even between states, if two states are cooperating, they are coming at an arrangement where they are working together, they are amicably solving the problems. This is an example of cooperative federalism. That's what you have to write. If you have to write a good definition, you can write it this way: that units of federation cooperate with one another. So it is not only between center and a state, also among the states. For example, like we have this full faith and credit. There are various elements of cooperative federalism which are there in our constitution itself. There is could be one question. Can you give me the answer? What are those elements of cooperative federalism which are there in our constitution? Our constitution mentions or rather desires, although this word is not there in our constitution, but the constitution desires a cooperative federalism kind of system. So where do we find this element? One thing is Article 261, which mentions about full faith and credit clause to laws, documents and judicial orders throughout the territory of India. So if full faith and credit is given, it means that the states are cooperating with each other. Apart from that, we have also seen that there is something called GST Council. In GST Council, there is representation of both center and state, and all the states are represented there. Here we see that this is also a element of cooperative federalism. We have interstate council, article number 263. This is the purpose of interstate council is to amicably solve the issues that has emerged between center and state or among the states. Okay, zonal councils are not the constitutional body. This is extra constitutional body. Okay, so constitution also have certain provisions, and there are extra constitutional provision like Niti Aayog. It is also not a constitutional body. So Niti Aayog, Zonal Council, these are the arrangements. There is chief secretary, conferences where all chief secretaries meet. They discuss about the best practices that their respective states are adopting. They can, I mean, there is also DGP conferences. So these conferences where different states they come together at a common platform, whether they are bureaucracy or uh, like political leaders, these are also a platform where there is an element of cooperative federalism is working. They are coming together, they are sharing their expertises, they are taking an how they can take collective action. Like even against the Naxals, there is joint operations. Sometimes like Chhattisgarh government does a joint operation with Andhra Pradesh government or Odisha government. So the joint operations against Naxals, this is also an example of cooperative federalism. So make sure, uh, is it paused? Here it is paused. The video is paused. Just, just confirm, Yogesh, if video is coming or is it paused? Okay, so my advice is that whenever there is a question on cooperative federalism, just do not give the examples of center and a state only. Rather, always give the example of center and a state, and also between a states and a states. Okay, what is the difference between competitive federalism and cooperative? I will come to that. Prathamesh, I will come to that. Yes, centrally sponsored schemes. That is also a very good example of cooperative federalism. Very good. Because in centrally sponsored scheme, what is happening? There is one scheme which is being implemented, and half of this money, or rather, if not half, some of the money, 40% is coming from the state, 60% is coming from the center. So they are acting together. Like one more thing that I have seen, that there is this NIC is the institute or organization which is involved in making the digital footprint of all the state government website as well. So different state government, they are delivering various services. There is this Jan Parichay. So if you want to take any services from any state government, you can have a common login through this Jan Parichay portal. And all the state governments portal are being linked with Jan Parichay portal. And Jan Parichay portal is using the database of Aadhaar. So like Aadhaar database are being used by a state government for various services delivery. This is also an example of cooperative federalism. Okay. Now the next thing that is there is competitive federalism. Now as the name suggests, competitive federalism means there is a competition. So when usually it is not the center and a state which will compete with each other, rather it is the states which will compete with each other. And here one thing that you must keep in mind, normally when we use the word competition, it, there is some kind of negative connotation that comes to us, that yes, I am competing with you. But here the word competitive federalism is used in positive sense. Here it is being used in a sense that if there is a competition, there has to be a healthy competition. And because of this healthy competition, all the states are going to grow. That is the presumption of competitive federalism. It's like why we conduct test in the class. The one purpose of conducting test and declaring that for certain declaring rank of the student is that all the student will try to do best in the exam. They will study more. They will work hard. Okay, same is the expectation in the state. So if we have some kind of competition among the states, like if we have a competition which a state is performing better in, say, cleanliness, there is a Swachh Bharat Index. Now, all the state will who will try to top this index, what they will do? They will improve the cleanliness. In this process, the cleanliness is improving throughout the territory of India. Yes, there is an aspirational district program. So now we are comparing all the districts who are trying to, I mean, who have been put in the aspirational districts by the central government, how they are improving. Okay. So this is something which is being actively promoted by Niti Aayog. If you are writing about competitive federalism and you are not taking the name of Niti Aayog, effectively you are not doing justice with your answer. Okay. Usually here center will create a platform. So center will act as a referee, a neutral umpire kind of thing, and states will compete with each other and they will take certain action. Okay, like there are various examples that we can have, like Niti Aayog aspirational district program, Niti Aayog indexes on water management, multidimensional poverty, state health. Recently, only very recently, multidimensional poverty data has been released. Okay, So you can take a few examples. You must always be also be aware of some other examples. So here, only thing that you have to keep in mind, there is a competition between the states. Because of this competition, all the states are expected to improve. For example, like ease of doing business index is there. Ease of doing business. So now when there is a competition between states, that which state is better in terms of doing business, now all state would try to improve their ease of doing business. In this process, overall ease of doing business will improve in India, and it would be better place for investors to invest. More FDI will come. So this is how we are saying that this is healthy competition is going to improve the overall status of the country. But always, it's not always true. Sometimes the states would be at the throat of each other as well, at loggerhead with each other as well. And that scenario is called combative or confrontational federalism. As the name suggests, there is a confrontation. And the most of the cases, the confrontation is not among the states, rather between center and a state. But also it could be between a state and a state. Sometimes there has been example where two states are also at war with each other. Not in literal sense, because the states do not have their army. Can you give me some examples? See, we will have a lot of example of confrontation between center and state. Can you give me some example of confrontation between two states, where two states are fighting on certain issue? I will tell you. This is the definition of combative federalism. Yes, water dispute, Yogesh, you are right. Interstate river water dispute like Kaveri water, Karnataka and Tamil Nadu. Since my childhood, I have been witnessing the dispute between these two states. If monsoon is anything below normal, these two states would be found in Supreme Court. This is something that I have witnessed since my childhood. Okay. So, where there is lack of trust, friction and conflict, these are the keywords you can mention between center and state or among the states. Okay. So, you have to again give example of dispute between center and state where they are at war, and then you have to also give example among the states. There are two layers of fighting. For example, there was dispute between center and state on the issue of GST compensation fund. Like center said that because of the COVID, the tax collection is less, and this is an act of God, and we are not going to compensate the states. Later on, the center agreed to compensate, but obviously there was friction on this issue between center and states. Center did not want to compensate, the states wanted the compensation to be given. Okay, then all India services rules. This is something that I'm going to cover as the next topic. This is, I will come in detail, but this is something, a proposed change have been made by the center and the states are definitely not happy with it. Now, then with respect to CBI, in case of CBI, like CBI is a central government agency. Law and order is a state subject. So CBI cannot investigate against the state government on its own. It requires the prior consent of the state government. For that purpose, there is a clause of general consent a state government have given on the paper. It happens now that on a white paper I have written something that whatever you want to write, you please write. So general consent have been given by the states to the CBI that you can do investigation of any matter in my state. Now all the states have, or not all the states, but most of the opposition ruled states, they have withdrawn the consent. This is again a matter of a lot of confrontation between center and state. You can also write it as the misuse of central agencies like ED, CBI. If you look at the rates of ED, it is invariably against those state leaders which are not in tune with central government. And then governors, these are like at the core of all the dispute between center and state. We shall also see this issue, how governors are acting as a dispute. But then between states and states, Border dispute in between Maharashtra and Karnataka, yes, that's also correct. Border dispute between states and water dispute. These are the two core issues. You must leave some space here in case in future you come across certain news in the newspaper. You must cover that in detail. On particular news a question can be asked, so I would advise you that leave a page of a space over here. If anything happens, like any center state matter or between a state matter, that can definitely be asked. This is a very hot topic. Once or twice a question has already been asked, it can be asked again. Okay, some of the issues of confrontation I will cover you. If something comes in the future, that also automatically becomes important. Okay, so next I am going to cover the all India services cadre rules. If you have any doubt till now, please let me know. No doubt. Okay, then we shall move to the next topic, that is IAS cadre rules. Now see, as you must be knowing that IAS is, as we have also discussed in the last class, is a all India service. It's an all India service. And the beauty of the all India services is that they are recruited, appointed by the central government. Even disciplinary matters are dealt by the central government, whereas they work with the state government, or rather they work with both state government and central government. So if you become IAS, first a cadre would be allotted. You will work in your cadre, and then on deputation you will also come to the central government. So in the central government also there are secretaries which are coming from one or the another. So you must see in the news that this finance secretary was in the Gujarat cadre or in the UP cadre. So it is invariably true that IAS officer will go on deputation with the central government, or sometimes they also go on deputation to the PSUs, some of the other agencies, or even to the other state government. Okay, so how is it governed? What is the current process? Only if we understand the current process, we would be able to appreciate what are the changes and what's the problem with those changes. So current system is that whatever be a OIS officer, he will first mention that he is willing to go on deputation. After that, what will happen that the a state, I mean, sorry, this is the rule which is there. The rule simply mentions that a cadre officer with the concurrence of the state government. See, the word used is concurrence. So the state government concurrence is a must. Concerned and the central government. So central government should also be ready to take that officer on deputation, and the state government should also be ready to allow that officer to go on deputation, be deputed for the service under the central government or PSUs, etc. This is the rule which is there. The rule is IS cadre rule number 6. It is very much clear. Now, the second thing is that usually all the states are aware that some of their officers will have to go on deputation to the central government. So, whatever be their requirement, they always recruit more than their requirement of the officers, because some of their officers would not be available to work in their states. This is how system works. The normal ruling is that there is another rule also, that at any point of time, not more than 40%, not more than 40% of cadre strength would be on deputation. So at any point, if the cadre strength means how many IS officers are allowed in that particular state. So let's say Bihar, 2000 IS officers are allowed. 2000 is a huge number. Suppose let's take the example of say 400 IS officers are allowed. So at any point of time, not more than 160 officers from Bihar would be on deputation. That's the current rule which is saying. So effectively, apart from this rule, a consensus or rather a convention has developed that the process would be something like officer will give his concurrence. Officer will first show his willingness that yes, I am willing to go on deputation. Then a state will prepare an offer list. Let's say these are the officers that we are willing to offer to the center. And then among the offer list, the center will choose officers. This is a healthy convention, rather I would say, that has developed over a period of time, that the state government will offer the officers. So all the state will offer that these are the officers. So suppose center government requires 50 officers. All the it will ask officers from all their state. They will offer the center 100 officers. So out of 100, the center will pick the 50 officers. Okay. The problem was that this is something that you cannot write in your answers, but that is what has happened. The central government, this was the image that was created of the current government, that it is a workaholic government. The prime minister never sleeps. He sleeps for only 4 hours. There is a lot of work that has to happen when you go on central deputation. So the IS officers were relatively less willing to go on deputation. So the first step, the officers are not giving their concurrence to go on deputation. They are happy in their states. They are like they are enjoying over there in their respective state. They do not want to come to the center. So the central government was feeling that there is a lack of availability of officers. Like if central government requires 50, it is only getting say 40 officers or say 45 officers from the states. So in 2020, the central government brought an amendment, and it said that every officers must serve for 2 years in central deputation within first 16 years of service. So in the first 16 year of service, you have to serve for 2 years with the central government, because at the director level, to become a director, you need to have minimum of 9 years of experience as an IAS officer. So at the director level, the central government was not getting adequate number of officers, because officers were more interested in getting field posting. They want to be the DM or some of the other postings in the state itself. So central government said that minimum 2 years you must serve. The reason was simple, that the dearth of officers should be addressed. Okay. But this was not the real issue. The real dispute was not here. The dispute started arising when this healthy convention was broken. And this is something which have been broken time and again by both center and state. It is not that only central government is to be blamed. The state government have also broken this convention. Like certain times, if the particular officer who is interested in going on deputation, it was found that that officer is efficient, or sometimes that officer is close to particular politicians, uh, states do not relieve that officer. So this is very, what do you say, peculiar situation. A state have made an offer list, and when center picks an officer out of that offer list, they do not relieve him on time. So because of that, obviously the center's arrangement is disturbed. Then on the part of center also there is an issue. Centers unilaterally sometimes issued order, for example, center issued unilateral order for deputation of Chief Secretary of West Bengal. So it so happened, I mean, this is again a political matter. It so happened that there was a cyclone, probably it was Phylline, and the Prime Minister visited West Bengal, for to oversee the cyclone relief work. And then obviously when Prime Minister visits a state, he called for the meeting of the officers who were involved. So Chief Secretary was supposed to attend that meeting. Chief Secretary reached in that meeting, he was attending, and then the Chief Minister was not present in that meeting. Chief Minister was somewhere else, and she has also asked for a meeting. So what Chief Secretary did that in the, I mean, in between the meeting, he left the meeting and went to attend the meeting of the Chief Minister. Obviously, Prime Minister was not happy with this, so he said that that officer must be penalized. So one day before that officer was supposed to be retiring, the order was issued that the same Chief Secretary should be sent to the central government deputation. Well, in the spirit of what we are studying, this is not right. Any unilateral order is not in the spirit of this rule that we had or the convention that we had developed. We will not go into the detail what Chief Secretary should have done, because our domain is not that. We are not a political person. Our domain is polity, the rules, what they are saying, and the norms that should be there. Okay. So now what central government has said, the central government is saying that I am not having enough number of officers. Our work is suffering. So this system is not working. There is a need to bring about certain amendment. So central government has proposed 4 amendments to these rules. The first is center will decide the number of officers to be deputed. So from which state how many officers will come to the central deputation, it is to be decided by central government. Suppose central government will say that now UP will give me 20 IAS officer for 2 years. So UP will give 20 IAS officer. That's it. It's not the UP. Earlier what was happening? UP was preparing a offer list. That system is no more there. No, sometimes it may happen that UP is not offering any officer. That will not be the case now. Okay. The next is that if a state government delays posting an officer, something like center has picked an officer and the state is delaying its posting, then the officer will stand relieved on the date specified by the central government. Like if central government said that on 16th of October, these people should be sent to central deputation, those people would be sent to central deputation on 16th of October if a state government is delaying. Okay. Next is in case there is a disagreement between center and state, like center wants an officer to be sent and the state does not want the officer to be sent. In that case, what will happen? So simply the same thing which was there in case of LG. What has central government said? That in case there is a disagreement, LG will have the discretionary power, the final say. Here also the central government is saying the same thing. Central government is saying that the matter shall be decided by the central government. So central government is making a rule in which central government is saying that I will take all the powers. Okay, you can always say that there is a violation of principle of natural justice. You cannot be a judge of your own cause. So central government is making a rule which favors itself, and it is sort of this is a proposal as of now that have been given to the state government, that you give your opinion. Obviously the opinion of the state government is not going to be favorable. Then the next situation is, suppose in public interest the central government requires the services of an officer. Okay, the state shall give effect to its decision in a specified time. So even if that officer has not given his willingness or the state has not made it an offer, in public interest, if the center is saying that particular officer should be given deputation, a decision has been taken, that decision has to be given effect in a specified time. So a center will say that by particular time it should happen, it will happen. So effectively the central government is saying that the complete deputation process would be controlled by central government. So what is this amendment is that complete control of central government on deputation process. Obviously, it goes without saying that states are not going to be happy. It is the states officer, they are posted in their respective cadre. They are also supposed to work for the state government, but the central government is saying that I will have complete control. Can you write what are the criticism which is going to happen? It's very simple. Concerns with the proposal. The first concern is it will affect the administration of the state. The states also have to govern or rather most of the implementation of the schemes. The implementation part, implementation at cutting edge is done by a state government. So they need to have a battery of officers at their disposal. How are they going to make policies or implement the policies if they do not have officers? The next is, it is also against the spirit of federalism. You are taking away officers from a state government without the consultation or consent of the state government. This is not in sync with the spirit of federalism. And then this also has the scope of political misuse. Like central government can pick all the efficient officers from any particular state, or they are like say chief secretaries, principal secretary to the chief minister. So the important officers or who are running the important portfolio programs, etc., they can be taken on deputation by the central government to disrupt the functioning of a particular state. So this has a scope of political misuse. And then what about the consent of officers neglected? The center and the state are fighting among themselves and no one is asking from the officer whether you want to work with the state government, whether you want to go on deputation or not. No one is asking. So this will also reduce the morale of the state government. Morale of the officer. The state officer has to work wherever he works. His morale has to be up. He has to feel motivated, confident. But if football is being played, he is being used as a political football, his morale is definitely not going to be high. And then it has the potential to be damage the scene of all India services officers. What does it mean? It simply means that if political misuse starts happening, the state government would lose trust on all India services officer. So important responsibility would be more often given to the state civil services officer. So sometimes what happens when in the very first, second attempt, we have a complete belief in ourselves that we are going to be IAS only. We feel bad about it, that this is not good thing, that like the trust on all India services officers will go down. But maybe in fourth, fifth attempt, by the time we start seeing that now I have given the interview of my state services, I have not been able to clear the prelims over in UPSC. So then the students start feeling that it's good. It's good that now more trust would be there with state civil services officers. Why should IAS officer have all the fun? But see, our answer should not be derived by our prejudices or our relative position. It's not good in nation interest if the government of any state is not having trust in its bureaucracy. whether it is a state civil services or all India services officers, the political government must have confidence in its bureaucracy. This scenario is not desirable. Okay. So ideally, what will you write the answer? In the answer, you will write that the healthy convention which was there, that convention should continue, and rather we should have a rational formula, rational and objective formula to decide the number of officers who will go on deputation. Like we can set a formula that see 5% of the officers from all the state would be on deputation on a particular year. Okay, we can have certain objective criteria, like the one criteria which have been introduced in 2020, that out of the first 16 years, for 2 years you have to be on deputation. So similar objective, rational, impartial criteria should be made for sending officers on deputation from a state to center. Okay, this is the advice that you should write in the way forward. It should not be that no politics should be involved. Ultimately, it is also the officer's career which is involved here. They should not be used as a political football to be kicked around. Okay, is it clear? Is there any doubt? Good, Yogesh. So now we shall move towards the next topic, that is role of governor. Okay. We have half an hour left to complete this topic. So you must be knowing that the governor is having dual responsibility. On one side, he is the head of the state government, nominal head. He heads the state executive. All the actions of the state government is taken in the name of governor. On the other side, he is also the agent of the center. He acts as a link between a state government and central government. Okay, so one thing is that he is head of the state, so he has the responsibility of towards the state government. He is also the agent of the center in a state. And why we are saying that he is agent of the center is because he is appointed by the central government. He is not elected, rather a appointed person, and he is removed by the central government. In fact, he remains in office till he enjoys the pleasure of president. So through these things we say that he is having the dual responsibility. The constitution also gives a special responsibility to governor in various cases. Like a special responsibility is there in case of schedule 5 region. There is a special responsibility in case of article 371. In this article also various special responsibilities have been given to the governor, and apart from this there is one more special provision is there, that governor has got the discretionary power in from constitution. or rather we call it constitutional discretionary power. The constitution explicitly mentions that governor can act in his discretion wherever he thinks that he need to act in his discretion. So it is to be decided by governor only that this is the matter where I have to act as per the aid and advice of the Council of Minister, and this is the matter where I have to act in my own discretion. Now this is something, this provision is the controversial provision. Now we shall see what are the different issues. These are the factual information, these are the background information that I have given. Now we shall, the question whenever it will come on one of the issues which are there with the office of governor. And let's see what are those different issues. The first issue is with respect to appointment and removal only. Like whenever there is a change of government at the center, there is going to be a change of governor in states. Like central government, a new central government comes, it removes all the political appointees by the previous government, because previous government has appointed governors, they are loyal to them. Okay, so they are, that's why the word political football is more often used for governors, that they are used as a political football. As soon as a new government comes, it kicks out the earlier football and brings in its new nominee. At the new central government, the new government is the government at the center. Okay, in fact, the appointment is mostly political in nature. In fact, it is also said that it is a safe house for the, or other, parking place for retired politician and bureaucrat also. So there is issue how they are appointed, and there is also issue with respect to who is appointed as governor. Okay, and then also this, to appoint someone has to be removed. So there is issue with respect to removal also, because they remain in office till they enjoy the pleasure of president. Then obviously when they are in governor, so suppose I can be removed at any time if I do not act as per the wishes of the central government. I will act as per the wishes of the central government. So definitely this arrangement is invariably leading to a partisan behavior of the governor. But you should also have some example. For example, in Karnataka in 2018, what happened, that Congress plus JDS had got majority. This coalition had got near majority, not absolute majority. This coalition had got near majority. But the governor invited BJP to form the government. Now, obviously, BJP did not have the number, so BJP has to resign after a few days. But the governor's partial behavior was visible. This is an absolute example that you can give for showing that the governor have shown partisan behavior. There are various examples that you can see. Now, a question that is often asked by the students, whether we can take the name of the political parties or not. In these cases which are very much objective in nature and which are very much well accepted, like no one can dispute that governors are partisan, no one can dispute the fact that yes, they had the near majority and they have to, only in these cases you should take the name of any political party. Otherwise you should not take the name of political party wherever the matter is debatable. Someone is saying that governor did the right thing, someone is saying governor did the wrong thing, you should use the wordings like one party, another party. Okay, or here also if you are not feeling confident, then you can use the wording like in Karnataka in 2018, when a particular political party has got near, when a particular political coalition or opposition coalition of opposition political party had got near majority, the governor invited the another party to form the government. If you are not feeling confident, you can write another party, first party, second party, something like that. Or you can use in very objective cases the name of political parties also. In very objective, open and shut cases, not a cases where there is debate. Okay. Next is governors are not giving consent to the bills, like any bill to be an act, any bill of a state legislature to be an act, it has to get the consent of the governor, and governors are simply not giving consent. Why? No one is there, no one is answering. We shall discuss this issue in detail. One of the issues that I have picked with respect to governor is this issue, which is a recent origin. There has been a Supreme Court judgment also last year. So this is something that we are going to cover in detail. I will give you some examples as well. Okay. Like you can say that Kerala has to approach Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Punjab. These are the states that have approached Supreme Court because their governors were not giving assent to the bills. Okay. And then it is also leading to delayed decision making when the bills are not being given assent, or some of the executive decision, the cabinet decisions are not being approved. It is leading to delay in decision making. Okay. There is also issue with respect to the vice chancellor appointment. This was the issue in West Bengal. This was the issue in Tamil Nadu. Like in one case, the governor appointed vice chancellor without taking consultation of the state government. In another case, the state government appointed vice chancellor without taking consultation with the governor or without routing it through the governor. So both the cases are wrong. Then it also creates the problem of dual accountability, as we have seen in the case of Delhi. Like the people have elected an elected government. Now, if governor is taking its independent decision, it is creating a issue of dual accountability, whereas the governor is not accountable. The same dual accountability term you can also understand from the governor's perspective, that he is accountable to the central government as well as he is accountable to the state government. But as such, he is not accountable to a state government, because I mean there is no mechanism that a state government can hold the governor accountable. But yes, psychologically he is responsible to the people of a state by being the head of the state. Okay. So it is, I mean, you have to write it very beautifully and clear terms to clarify this point. I will repeat it. The governor, being an agent of center, has accountability towards central government. Being the head of the state, he also has the responsibility towards the state. That's the dual accountability what I am saying. The dual accountability you can also understand from the another perspective, is that when governors are taking their independent decision, discretionary decision, now they can pass the buck. For example, when it happened in Delhi, that a student has, few students have rather drawn in a coaching institute, in the basement of the coaching institute. When there was a flooding, few student died. Now at that point of time, Delhi government was passing the buck to the LG, LG was passing the buck to the Delhi government, and so this was happening. They were passing the buck to the municipal corporation. But had it should not have happened. It should be the government, elected government, which should have been held responsible for such a fiasco. Any other government, if like they were able to pass the buck in the name of LG, because they were saying that LG, we have taken certain decisions which were not implemented because LG did not give his assent. Okay, that is not a desirable situation. Ultimately, who is at loss? It is the people of Delhi. It is that student, their family who died, who are suffering, but they are just simply passing the buck. So now we are going to discuss in detail the issue of veto power of governor. So let's have some factual information first. What are the different kind of veto power? So veto power is when a bill is presented to governor, he has the option not to give assent, and when he does not give assent, that is called veto power. Okay, so he gives assent, the bill becomes a law, bill becomes an act. Okay, he can reject assent, for which the word withhold assent has been used. Okay, this is called absolute veto. Next is he can send it for reconsideration. This is called suspensive veto. The word substantive veto, absolute veto, or even veto has not been used in our constitution. This is the understanding that we develop while studying the polity. Okay, the word that has been used in constitution is sent for reconsideration of the legislature. Okay, then he also have the choice not to do anything because no time limit has been prescribed. So what is the time limit within which governor has to take action has not been prescribed. So because of the absence of clear-cut time limit, there is this option of not doing anything, which is called pocket veto. And then governor also has the option to refer the matter to president. There is no specific term that has been used or that we know for this kind of veto, but when a matter is referred to the president, then again president has all these options. He can give assent, he can use absolute veto, he can use suspensive veto, he can use pocket veto, or he can give assent. Okay, so these are the factual information which, I mean, these are more relevant to prelims. In prelims, there can be a direct question on these items. Now we have to understand what is the recent controversy, which is the recent controversy is simple. The governors are not giving assent. Like Kerala governors given assent to one bill when they went to the Supreme Court. So on the day when the hearing was to take place, one day before that, I mean, you have to reply to the Supreme Court. So he gave assent to one bill and referred the 7 others to the president. Okay, then like for 3 years, the Supreme Court is asking that what was governor doing for 3 years? For 3 years, the governor did not give assent to a bill of the Tamil Nadu government. He kept it pending. Like pocket veto is the very common form of veto that is being used by the governors. So the Supreme Court, I mean the different government, Tamil Nadu government, Kerala government, it has to approach Supreme Court to get the assent of the governor. Okay, so that's the issue. These are the examples that you can give. Now let's see what's wrong if governor does not give his assent in time. The first thing is that there would be delay in decision making. Like if any act is passed, a bill is passed, it must be having certain purpose. That purpose would be defeated if it is not being implemented. Suppose like a government want to regulate the medicine industry, it want to give a proper health care, it might have made those promises to the people in the election, and when the government was elected, it enacted a law to give effect to those promises, and because of the governor not giving assent, the elected government is not able to fulfill those promises. Okay, so it is also undermining the democratic process. Like in a democracy, the legislature should have a final say. The legislature should have a final say on law. It is not the appointed person. It is not appointed person like governor. Here, if governor is obstructing a bill, it means the final say is with governor. Governor is deciding what kind of act to be made and what kind of act will not be made. And in this process, the elected government, the public perception of elected government would be compromised. Like people will not have so much of understanding that they will understand that why you are not able to deliver. People will simply ask the Delhi government that you had said that you will provide us free water. Now you are not providing us free water. You have come to the election again. Now the government is saying that, see, we have passed a law for providing free water, but the LG did not, or the governor did not give assent. People will not understand this, and people will simply question the elected government. And the governor does not have any accountability towards the people. It is the elected government which have the accountability. So the wishes of elected government should get supremacy. This is undemocratic. This is against the federal structure as well. Okay, so these are the problems that you will see. And obviously, like when the water goes above head, you try to find a solution. So various state government went to the Supreme Court demanding that there should be some solution. And as in the case with the SR Bombay judgment, in the case one in the Bharti case, the Supreme Court came to the rescue. And Supreme Court simply said that governor holds no veto power. Supreme Court said enough is enough. You had enough of fun. Now it's over. You do not have any veto power. Although this is, I mean, this is a article given by written in the Hindu, but this is slightly misleading article. It's not that governor does not hold any veto power. We will understand it, how, what the rationale of argument is, but let's first understand what they are saying. Now they are saying that the bills needs to be sent back to legislature as soon as possible. In case the state assembly reiterates the bill with or without amendments, the governor has no choice or discretion and has to give his assent to it. This is the ruling of Supreme Court. You must take a note of it. You take a screenshot or you write it. Supreme Court said that the bills need to be sent to legislature as soon as possible, and in case a state assembly reiterate the bill with or without amendment, governor has to give assent. So there is no veto power. This is the interpretation of Supreme Court of Article 200. So this is the Article 200 which have been interpreted, or which has been interpreted by Supreme Court. Now let's do our own, let's apply our own common sense also and try to interpret this article. I hope it is visible to you, readable to you. Otherwise, I will definitely read it out for you. So this article is simply saying, although as I have stated to you in my very first lecture that you should have the habit of reading actual the bare acts. So if you read it, you will, if you are able to understand it on your own, it means that you have developed command over polity. Okay. So when a bill has been passed by the Legislative Assembly of a state, in case of a state, it shall be presented to the governor, and governor shall declare either that he assents to the bill. When he assents to the bill, it will become the act, or that he withholds assent therefrom, or that he reserves the bill for the consideration of the president. So now till this time our understanding was that if he withholds the assent, we are calling it as absolute veto, and he reserves the bill for the consideration, so he is sending it for the consideration of president, or he is giving assent. So these are the three things, three options which was there. Okay, now it is saying the Supreme Court has interpreted that the second article, the second paragraph, which is saying that provide, this is called proviso, which have been added, provided that governor may as soon as possible after the presentation to him of the bill for assent return the bill if it is not a money bill. The Supreme Court has interpreted this withholding assent in this context and saying that governor does not have, withholding assent does not mean that governor has absolute veto. It simply means that governor does not want to so it simply says that withholding assent means this option only. If he does not give assent, it means he has to return the bill. There is no absolute veto. The first thing is that this line has to be read in context of the second paragraph, and since second paragraph says that governor has to return the bill, as soon as possible for the consideration of the house. So this is not an optional thing for governor, and here also the word as soon as possible has been used, means governor has to do it ASAP, immediately. So first it read that governor only have suspensive veto. So that's why I said that the whatever be the headline of the previous article was slightly misleading, because the Supreme Court is also saying that governor has suspensive veto, it can return for reconsideration. Okay, but obviously Supreme Court has denied that there is no absolute veto. You can write it down. Supreme Court has clearly said that there is no absolute veto. Further, Supreme Court also said that since the article mentions as soon as possible, it means there is no pocket veto either. You cannot keep it for an infinite amount of time. However, Supreme Court did not mention the time limit. So effectively, like pocket veto is has come to the governor indirectly. Directly, there is nothing like pocket veto. But since Supreme Court has also it not mentioned, although the matter is still in the Supreme Court, the state government of Kerala and Tamil Nadu are requesting Supreme Court to fix a time limit of say 6 months. That within 6 months you have to decide whether you are giving assent or not. If you do not give assent within 6 months time, the it should be presumed that assent has been given. Okay, but that's not the ruling as of now. So as of now, the status is that Supreme Court has said that as soon as possible you have to send it for reconsideration. No time limit has been prescribed by Supreme Court. So effectively there is an pocket veto, but Supreme Court has said that you should not exercise it. Is it clear? Any doubt? This is something which is slightly technical, so I will wait here for your doubts, etc. If you have, if it is clear, well and good. If you have understood it, there can nothing be better than this. If you have been able to understand the bare acts of Constitution, that's the success for a teacher. Any doubt, you must ask it. Take your time. I will wait for a minute till you give your clearance. Very good, Yogesh. You have been able to understand it. So now, in the end, like here the Supreme Court has given its judgment, and the rest of the matter is in court. Most likely Supreme Court judgment will come within a year. So whatever be the judgment, here also you should leave a space of half an page or so. Whatever be the judgment that comes in the future, you must write the judgment, update the notes. Okay, now we will end the class with the Punchi Commission recommendation with respect to the governors. So, without governor, without Punchi Commission recommendation, no answers on center-state relation is going to be complete. So here I am only covering you the Punchi Commission recommendation with respect to governors, but you must go to the Lakshmikant book and you should try to memorize as many recommendations of Punchi Commission as possible. And I will give you a trick. To memorize recommendations, you should not memorize it the way Lakshmikant has written. You should memorize it in your own words, in your own scheme of things. Then only you will be able to remember them. Okay. So some of the recommendation with respect to the governor is that while appointing governor, CM should be consulted. There is a rift between CM and governor because the governor is not of the choice of the chief minister. So consult the chief minister and then you make the appointment. Same recommendation was done also by the Sarkaria Commission. Sarkaria Commission has said that, or even the Venkat Chalaiya Commission, all have said that CM should be kept in loop. Venkat Chalaiya Commission also said that there should be a committee of uh, Prime Minister, Speaker of the Lok Sabha and Chief Minister which should decide the governor. Then who should be the governor? So he said that governor should not be a person who is active politically. He should not be a person who has been politically active in recent time. Okay. and rather he should be an eminent person in some walk of life. He should be a eminent person in some walk of life. Okay. Then removal, this is appointment, the person, and the removal should be through impeachment process in a state legislative assembly. So see, suppose if we have these three things, this will make sure that governor is a neutral person between center and state. He is not bound by the, he is not bound to act as per the wishes of the central government. He can have his own independent thought process because he is not dependent on the central government for his office. Okay, this provision of pleasure at the pleasure of president should be removed. And it has also said that the governor should act on the advice of the chief minister only in exceptional circumstances. The discretionary power which have been given to him should be rarely used and only in exceptional circumstances. It should not be used like in case of LG, the central government has written that all the matters are discretionary matter. On all the matter you have to take the concurrence. That should not be the scenario as per the Punchi Commission. Okay, and it has recommended that you should take decision on a bill within 6 months. So the time limit of 6 months have been prescribed for the governors. So that's all. These advice you can write on any question with respect to governor that is asked. If you have any doubt, you must ask. And if in case you have watched this lecture till now, it means you definitely like it. So press the like button as well. Subscribe to the channel also. If you have any other demand, anything that you want to discuss, you can put your comment and you can connect to me on any of my social media handles. The link to all these handles is same, Madhusudan_IIT. Tomorrow we are going to start with Parliament. So join me tomorrow 2 p.m. Have a nice day. Take care.